Hello, it is a pleasure to have you here on Women Talk, where real women engage. Welcome to Maisha TV. My name is Ridah, Kering, Chebet, and as usual, I'm not alone in the studio. I'm with this amazing lady. I'm talking about Irene Mumbo, Bushebi, counselor, mother, pastor, and a wife. Today we're going to talk about another interesting topic. Remember, this is Women Talk, where we talk about matters of family, matters affecting women and men as well. And today we are going to focus on another interesting topic, the teenage girls parenting. Teenage girls parenting, and this topic came up courtesy of you, our viewer. Most of you have been asking, they want Irene to share some tips. Because time and again they've heard that you are a mother to teenage girls, and they want to get some tips on how to bring up those teenage girls. Najua that it is tough work, and I'm sure at the end of this program you'll grab someone to think 2-3 things on how to do that. You can talk to us. Our studio number is 0746 999 841. You can text, call, or WhatsApp, or you can leave your comment on our social media platforms: YouTube Maisha Television Kenya, Facebook Maisha Television Kenya, Instagram and X at Maisha TVK. Karibu Irene.
Thank you so much.
To our viewer as we start the program.
Thank you so much, viewers. We love you, we appreciate you, and stay tuned. Karibu sana.
Yes, so just as I said earlier, we're going to talk about teenage girls parenting. Irene, as a mother to teenage girls, how can you describe the experience?
It's challenging anyway. We can't deny the fact that it's not a very easy journey, but it's here to stay. So what is important is how to approach it, how to go about it, and then how to just forge ahead with the teenage girls. It's a very big thing that affects the family so much, because a girl child is also a very delicate child in the family, and when she gets to teenage, it becomes more of too much for the parents, especially now the mother. Though I know the dad, and something very funny is that the girls are always with the father most of the time. And they would want to share much with the father. And then you find out that the issues that now they are going through needs to be shared much with the mother. And at this stage, you also find that they don't want to really open up to the mother, because they know at this point is also where the mother starts to realize that she needs to do much. And at some point, you find that the mothers are so strict to the girls. Yeah. Unlike the dads, who, as usual, they are the good part of everything for the girl child. So it becomes so challenging, because you'll find that most of the time they try to pull away from the mother, stick so much to the dad. The dad might not be having enough time, and also he's not sensitive enough to know that he really needs to, if getting closer for that matter, then getting closer with the right things in position. And you find that it's also at a time when maybe the dad is just feeling the girl is just growing up and she's just good and she's just sweet like that, but he doesn't really know that he needs to do much more, apart from very few who can realize. And maybe people who are raised with girls, maybe they can realize that. But otherwise, you find that the dads become so darling to the girl, but they don't know what to do with the girl. And now it becomes also very difficult for the mother, because she's trying to pull away from the mother. And sometimes it even brings conflicts in the family. Yeah, because you'll find that the girl sticks so much with the dad, and the mother now is feeling, you really need to come closer to me, because it's this point where I need to really help you. And because they know the mother is so strict on them, because she's trying to instill something in them, they're moving away. And so the mother will try to be also, trying to approach the father in a way that, you should be letting this girl know that she needs to move closer to me. Maybe not openly like I'm saying it, but in some, ways. And that is where the issue of communication that we were talking about last time now again comes in. Because you find that the mother doesn't want to speak outright that, this is what we need to do. She's trying to go, and then the dad also is like, okay, what's not happening? You're too much on this girl. So it is a challenging time, and I've really experienced a lot of challenge also in this point, but it is doable. Especially when you, the mother and the father, decide to be doing the same thing, to be letting them know what they need to do at that point. If she moves closer to the dad should treat her the way you're also treating her. So that she knows that this is exactly what needs to be done. It's not any other thing. This is what we need to do. So it will help them. But otherwise, it becomes so challenging, and especially also in a family where the father and the mother are not in terms. So we break it all loose.
The father becomes a darling to the girl, anaona that mama ananikazia sana. I better be with the dad. Irene, as a mother to teenage girls, can you kindly describe your parenting styles and approach when it comes to teenage girls?
I think what has really helped me to do this thing, maybe in a way that I think has helped me a lot, is trying to be an example to them, so that they learn from what I do most of the time. And if I feel like they are not doing it simply because they are assuming these are maybe things that are supposed to be done by women and not girls, then I step in to try to instill what really needs to be done. And in this time also, you have to do this with a lot of consideration, knowing that it is a time when they are experiencing a lot of changes in their lives, and they're also trying to show out like they're also people, they're mature people, and they should be let do what they need to do. So whenever you're doing anything to them or you're trying to give them a direction, you have to be very cautious with them, because otherwise they'll fail to understand you and fail to understand what you're telling them all the same. And so when such a thing happens, you find that it becomes so difficult for you to, you know, put across what you really needed to give them. So for me, it has been a lot of what I do should really translate into what they'll do ultimately. So what am I saying? I'm saying that I try to be this role model. Everything I do is something that I believe when they get to look at it, they don't have questions. I remember there was this time when my second born girl was asking me, Mommy, I think you also went through the same thing we're going through. I was like, what is it that you're going through? You know, this teenage thing and everything that we are facing today. And I was like, okay, I faced it, so why? You know, I think she could not ask me the rest of the question because she was thinking, now, this is how she's answering me. You know, because I was trying to avoid, because I think there was something she had and she was like, she wanted to put it on me, like you also went through it and maybe you faced it. So you know, so I brought out that environment that kept her quiet for that time, and then I came back to her, you know, because at that time there's something she came with, you know, and you know, in such a situation, if you just jump into it and you try to make it, you know, a good environment for her, she might think it's a good thing to do at the end of the day. You see, my mother is enjoying too. No, I had to, you know, bring out some unconducive environment for that time, because I had realized. So another thing with the parents or the mother particularly, you have to be somebody who is very ready to read the psychology of these children. So that when they come with something that they want to pin you down, please move up a little bit. And then now you will come to their level at some point where they kind of understand that you don't want to discuss that thing, but now you come from their level and now face that situation. But if you enjoy being in that environment that they create for you, and then you find yourself trapped in, they'll be like, okay, so these people. Because I know, even us as parents, there are things that we did that when we stand back, we feel like we should not have done it that way. So you should not come with that and tell the children that, you know, I also did it that, like, just like that. It, but they will have trapped you. What you need to show them, I know it was wrong, but what you need to show them is that this thing is wrong, and it is wrong from the onset of it. So as we are moving with something that is wrong, and we need to face it in the right way. You know, so I know it's not a very easy thing for parents to do, but that is how you can treat these girls, because most of the time, if they realize that it's also a soft landing for you, because it's something that maybe you did that was not right, and still you've not moved above that thing, then they'll know it's a mistake that everybody else does, which is not the case. What we need to show them is that, yes, maybe I might have done it, but you are not allowed to do it because it's not a good thing. So I'll show you the direction to go, you see. So it's a real challenge, but it is a technique that, you know, have to put out there. So what I've said is that the psychology of these children should be here for you, because otherwise they'll trick you. They'll trick you, and you'll find, most of the time you'll find yourself trapped. in whatever, because they are very smart nowadays. They know where they come from.
Yes, they live in information world.
So they have a lot of information.
Yeah.
So if you really don't know how to face everything, you'll find that they'll be trapping you, and they'll know that these are weaknesses that you also faced, and maybe they even knocked you out, and so utasema nini. Yeah. So you have to know what to say.
Yes, so last week we were talking about, in our last program, we talked about conflict resolution, the best way to handle conflicts. I understand that teenage girls and their mothers, time and again, there's conflicts. Even too obvious, there's conflicts time and again. How do you handle conflicts and disagreements with your teenage girls?
I think, as I said, you really have to be sure about what they are really thinking. I'm not saying you really have to be a genius in this, but it's something that you'll master with time. And that is why we always say that you have to be very close to your children so that you know them better.
Yes.
And there's nobody else that should know your children better than you. So at any given point, what you need to do is to know what they're up to. So psychology is a very important thing that you need to realize in terms of your teenage girls, because you know it's a point where they also know how to play with your psychology, and their psychology is also very smart because they're smart. They have a lot of information now. So you if you have to solve these conflicts, then you have to realize what is it that they are thinking, what is it that they want. That's why they're bringing, you know, this kind of problem or issue. So once you know that, it will be easier for you to sort it out. But if you are green on it, it's like you don't know. You will try to face it because, you know, there is that other part of us, you know, the old us, they call us the old school and all that stuff. So you find that there are things that there's a way we used to solve them back then, that if you try to employ the same thing today, you will not solve this problem. So you have to know what is it that they're thinking, why is it they're bringing this problem, and then now you know how to solve it. I've just told you about my girl, and it was like I had to calm her down first so that she's not so aggressive on, you know, because I know maybe she had 1, 2, 3 questions to ask, or, you know, everything like that. And, you know, you cool her down first and then let her just go away with it like, I don't know what's happening. The suspense will help you. And then now when you come into it, you'll be facing it in a way that you know you want to solve this problem. Not the way she's coming with it like she wants to trap you somewhere. So this is how we solve this most of these conflicts when they come in, because we know we are dealing with very smart people, and you also have to be a little bit smarter, you know. And that is why we are saying, you know, a lot of parents, they're like, we don't want to delve much into this. Please get to know what's happening here, because it will help you. Maybe they're bringing in something that you don't know, and they want you to just fix yourself in it. You see, so if you don't know what's happening or currently what's going on, then they come up with something, and then you don't know how to deal with it because you have no information. They will have knocked you out all the same. So these conflicts, when they come in, please know how, be a little bit smarter than them. Your standard should be a little bit higher. How? Have information. Tusiwe tunasema tu hii mambo ya social media ni hawa watoto mkiwaachia, yes, they get in and they know so much. Wewe unajua nini? So once you want to solve problems, because we've heard of even these teenagers who come home, kuna vitabu wamesoma, kuna movies they've been watching, na umejua kuna kitu wanataka wafanye. They are on a mission. So if you really don't know what's happening, then it means wakikuuliza wewe utai handle shallowly, because you know nothing about it. Like he or she is on a mission. So if you don't really know much about this, and then you uproot that thing so that ajue the evil that is in it, then utapata ni shida. No, for example, okay, I'm coming a little bit lower into not just teenagers, but hata watoto wadogo. We as parents, as zingine tunachukua kwamba hawa watoto tuwaweke wana watch tu cartoon most of the time. You know, we've realized that there are some cartoons that are not right for the children.
Yes.
And you see, wamekuwa addicted to the cartoons. Maka hata lights zikienda off ama ikazima ama whatever happens, utasikia nduru kutoka hapo. Kwa sababu alikuwa na follow kabisa. Nani katoto kadogo ndiye anaanza kukaa chini. You see how addictive this thing is. So as a parent, if you don't know what these cartoons are all about, umejua, we don't sit down with them and watch. Most of the time tunawaacha hapo tukienda kazi yetu. What is it they're watching? Sometimes you have to listen even to the wordings. The wordings sometimes are so obscene. As much as we are thinking they're just, you know, just seeing what's happening. And even those things that they are doing, the cartoons are doing, sometimes some of them are very funny. And they are naughty in a way. Kwa hivyo mtoto anajifunza vitu ambavyo, na that is the same way. hii social media saa zingine ina affect hata watoto wasichana wenye tuko now, the teenage girls. So if you don't know any information about that, they might be trapping you kwa sababu kuna kitu wameshaona and they know how to go about it and you don't know. So when they come to you, si kwamba ati wanakuja kwa sababu they'll create that problem because they want to see how you're gonna react to that, because they know hao wamefika the full episode of it where hauna habari. Unaona, so that is why I'm saying we have to be a little bit smarter. How we have to get information about everything that is happening somehow. We don't know how, but somehow you have to do that. I know we have a lot still in our hands that we need to do, but all this, it's part of, you know, the development of our family and our children, and we have to take care of it.
All right, well said there by Irene. You're watching Women Talk, where real women engage, and we're talking about teenage girls parenting. Irene has experience in that, and I'm sure that at the end of this program you'll get something out of it. I used to hear that mzazi ambaye yuko very strict to their girls, hao wasichana waribika sana. Hiyo ni maneno ambayo unasikia huko nje. But I would just like to know, how do you balance between giving your teenage daughter independence and setting boundaries?
Yeah, it's very important, as you say. Most of the times you find that watu ambao pengine wamekuwa strict sana, watoto wameenda kuharibika kwa sababu ni kama watu wamekuwa caged for a very long time. And that time ambayo pengine amepata opening without you knowing, or even knowing, ukasema nimewacage sana, wacha niwawachilie. That's the time everything goes loose. So what we are saying is we don't really need to try to cage them, but what we need to do is give them the freedom. But there are some limitations that you have to describe, which also does not mean that you have to instill it like strictly on them, but give them every side of this thing in terms of if it goes wrong. So this is to say that we really have to put it out there for the girls that this is something that is not right. You can have it, yes, but you know what? If you misuse it, its disadvantages are always so much more than the advantages. So once you describe this and you bring it out, you know, in a way that they understand, then it will be easier for them to now gauge around and know, you know, this thing we were told it's not good. There are some disadvantages, there are advantages. If I have to do it, I have to do it to this level. You know, I don't need to extend to the other end. I need to get it to this. You know, you're trying to put them in a place where they're learning it for themselves. Not that you're trying to do it for them. So that's the right way to, you know, deal with independence. One thing I also know with freedom is that most of the time, because when you're talking about independence, it's something like freedom for them, is that freedom is always a big thing, you know. But most of the time, if you misuse freedom, you find yourself tied in one corner of that freedom, and the rest of it is just there. You can't do anything with it. So these are some of the things you need to describe to these girls and tell them that, yes, these are things that are here. You can, you know, interact with them, but interact with them carefully. So that you don't tie yourself in one corner of it and you have the whole of it, you can't use it because of misuse. You see. So this is how I've tried to deal with these girls in terms of, you know, not doing it for them, but letting them do it with the caution that is there, so that they know when we are doing this, this is what we need to do, this is what we need not to do. But if you try to do it for them because you think it's risky, then it won't work for you. So that is now like caging them, because you know you're putting them in an area where they are enclosed, so that even this thing, when it is happening, it has to happen with your, you know, your supervision and all that. Not about that. Let them. But tell them, if you misuse this thing, this is what you will land yourself into. So they have the choice. Because, you know, even God has given us choices. He's given you the whole thing and he's telling you, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need not to do. So if you learn that concept, it will be easier for you also to deal with the girls. Rather than caging them, you know, putting them in a place whereby, you know, you don't need to move to. Just let them. But tell them, if you dare do this, then it's up to you. Because I've said it. So don't ever come back to me and tell me this is what has happened because I told you. You see, so when you tell them like that, it's like they have a lot of reservations. They are happy that they've been led to do it, but there is a lot of reservations in terms of where are we supposed to reach, even when we are doing this. So that is the boundary that you're talking about. Yes, we are free to do it, but we are free to do it up to what level? So that is what is important for the girls. But don't strictly just say you are not going to go there, because there'll come a day when they'll go there without you. And that is where we end up finding that sometimes there are things we've restricted our children from doing, and then when they go out there, they find that people are doing it. And they are doing it like it is a normal thing. And then they also jump into it like it is just a normal thing. And then that is where you're saying that these children that the parents were so strict have ended up being spoiled more than even these other children that were given the freedom. So this is exactly what happened. So please try to, even if it is something that is, you know, it is not very good, but let them have an experience.
Yeah.
Showing them where they need to go and where they need not to go. It will help them because they know what the repercussions are if they extend their boundaries.
All right, and this age, we are talking about teenage girls.
Yeah.
That is between 13 to 19.
Yeah.
But we can also include, say, from 10 to around 20, 21.
In fact, even 8 nowadays. The hormone imbalance.
Yes, those are teenagers.
Yeah.
And this is the age where they're also affected by the adolescent stage. As you've said,
the imbalance
in the emotional well-being. How do you ensure that, what are the best strategies to deal with these girls? We know that in your age ambayo the emotions are high, down, na mzazi mwingine hatataka kujua hiyo. They will deal with them strictly. How do you go about it?
Yeah, it's also a very challenging time because, as I was saying, I told you about my girl. Sometimes, you know, you have to really, you know, bring out that other face of yours, but there are times when you really have to know how to face it directly as it comes, because you know they are coming to you with already their emotions up. So what you need to do is to try and see that you don't interfere with that, because if you interfere with that emotion already, maybe they'll just cut off and keep quiet, and they'll end up maybe doing something that is not right. I was just listening to something that a parent was saying. It's very good that parents, we observe the way our children are behaving. Yeah. Once you had a child that was behaving like they are, you know, they talk to you, but all of a sudden they keep quiet, then you have to realize that there's something that is not going right, you see. So in such occasions, it happens that maybe you are you didn't really mind about their emotions, and when they were, you know, they came with something and their emotions were hitting the other end, the roof, and you didn't realize about that, then you also did just silence them. Then they decide to do what they want to do, because as we did say, it is a time when these children are trying to tell everybody out there that, you know what, we are also maturing, we are people, and we can decide to do what we want to do. So if you come to them in such a situation, you find that they might cut off and not talk to you again, but there's something they've decided to do. And so that is very risky. So that is what I was saying. You have to really read the psychology of these children, because, you know, they are in this critical age where everything sometimes seems to escalate even above them, because it's about the hormonal thing, and, you know, those emotions are just running helter-skelter. So what you need to do is to always observe them and see what is it that is wrong with them. And also face every situation with not the same way, differently, according to how they come to you. They might come to you at a time when you think their emotions are just a little bit average, so you know how to handle it. But when you see that they've already hit the roof, please try to equalize the emotion before you deal with the issue. Because otherwise, kama we pia utaenda tu juu hivyo, utapata hamtapatana, and that is the conflict that we're talking about. So that is what I'm saying. The psychology of these children needs to be known. Their reactions, how they, you know, how they react to things. Kuna wale ambao anaweza bang tu hata kitu mpaka unashindwa, because when they do that, it shocks you for the first time, because it's something they've never done. You've seen them growing, they've never done that. So you realize, okay, this time has come. And so if this time has come, then how am I going to handle things? I think I need to go down so that I meet them in their level. Because if I remain there as a parent and they're also trying to come up to get me there, then we won't, you know, get to solve this problem. So what we need to do is that when you see them going a little bit up, just come down to their level so that tuelewane, tukisha elewana, then I tell you why this thing is wrong, you need not to do it like that. Umejua atakupata. Lakini ukimuingilia tu wakati pia yeye amejaribu kujionyesha, ataona kama sasa wewe umenizoea. So it's not a very easy time, but it is a time that we can deal with our children, because we know what they are going through. So that's why I was saying, parents, you need to understand these things. I think the hormone things are very different today than the other days. Kwa sababu wakati ule sijui ni ile chakula watu walikuwa nakula. Because you find mtoto wa age maybe 13, kwa mtoto mwenye anakuwa na shida kama hizo. Pengine mtu akishafikisha huko 17, 16, 18 ndio utaanza kurealize vitu kama hizo. Lakini 13, even 8 as I was saying, pako unashangaa aka katoto kanaongea na nani? You know, and as you're doing that, then hiyo imeshafika penye imefika kabisa. So if you handle it or you mishandle it, then you'll find that amtaelewana. And this is why you are finding issues like suicide, some of these children. Kwa sababu aelewi ni kwa nini mzazi amuelewi. Kwa sababu yeye pia hizi vitu zinatendeka deep from within. Na pia anaangalia wenzake of the same age, maybe they are also reacting the same. Kwa nini yeye mzazi wake hawezi muelewa na wazazi wa wengine wanamuelewa? Najua si kama sisi wakati mwingine ulikuwa unaweza pata in another household, there is a way they handle their things and doesn't matter to you. Wewe ukirudi kwenu utahandle vitu vinye kwenu na handliwa. Lakini siku hizi mtu akiona kwa kina mtu amehandle kitu another way, anataka hiyo kitu ifanywe the same way in their household. And those are some of the things that make things not work right. So if you understand that, itakusaidia.
And also hii age nye tumetoka kuongelea the teenagers, that is where we find the challenge of teenage pregnancies. Yeah. Should parents address the issue of sex, maybe sex education, to these girls at that age?
Of course, it is very key. Because if you don't address it, somebody else will address it out there. And the way they'll address it, maybe it will be practically. And I think it will be done. Kwa sababu if it is in a practical way, then it means what you feared most will have caught up with you.
Yeah.
So what you need to do to these teenage girls, especially when you realize that such things are coming up, those are the red lights that should start showing you that these things are just already here with me. Those emotional imbalances, you know, things that you used not to see happening, you know, the courage to do things that they were not doing then, they are doing now, then you should know this age is here with us. So what you need to do is this time you need now to start addressing those issues that maybe you are reserving yourself, because it's a time where there are people who can now understand. You know, I know there is that small age. We are saying that, you know, you need to address this thing a little bit even earlier, because siku hizi si kitu ya kuficha tena. But I know earlier unaweza kuwa na brush juu yake, but when it comes to now this time, then you have to be, it has to be a family discussion. It has to be something that we sit on the table and talk about it. And then, as we were saying, yes, you are given the whole thing and you are told now it is up to you, because this is the boundary. We've shown you where the boundary is. So you can go ahead and do what you want to do with your boundary. Because, you know, sometimes we try to do this thing as if we are the ones who can avoid it from happening. No. It's not us, it is them. So what we need to do is just to educate them on how to go about it. So once you do that, it will be easier for them to make a choice. And once they do this, it will be their choice. Hata kama itakuwa imefikia mahali penye imefika, ni yeye atakuwa amefanya uamuzi. And I think when they'll be standing before you to tell you the bad news, they'll already be having the solution to it. Or they'll be answering themselves, because you had already given them the precautions and all the boundaries that they need to get to and where they need not to get to, all the repercussions that will come up. So they have everything. It is like it is a book written. So it is up to them to make that decision. So anything happening, nadhani mtu asikuje kwangu.
Tayari alisha make uamuzi wake mwenyewe. You're watching Women Talk, where real women engage. We're talking about teenage girls parenting, and Irene is here in studio. I'm Ridah, Kering, Chebet. Keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube, Maisha Television Kenya, Instagram and Twitter, or X at Maisha TVK. Our studio number is down there, 0746 999 841. If you have a question, any idea, you can send it via our SMS or WhatsApp. We are taking a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
A strong woman knows she has strength enough for the journey. But a woman of strength knows it is in the journey where she will become strong. Join Irene, Mumbo, Bushebi and Ridah Kering on Prime Women Talk every Wednesday from 8 p.m. exclusive to MTV.
Jaza mfuko na chapa kila nusu saa. Cheza tatua 3 na 10 bob tu na ushinde Jaza bonus ya 10,000 Kenya shillings kila siku. Istoshe, ukicheza na 70 bob au zaidi, utakamua guaranteed bonus ya shilingi 5,000 dakika 30 zijazo. Si hayo tu, jaza keja na home makeover. Jaza parking yako na a brand new tuk-tuk au pikipiki. Hapa ni kujaza na tatua. Nenda kwa M-Pesa, chagua paybill number 150 chagua namba zako 3 za bahati kati ya 0 na 9 ukifuatanisha na neno maisha. Cheza na kati ya shilingi 10 hadi shilingi 1,000 na ujaze mfuko na chapa kila nusu saa.
Over 18s only. Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
Maisha Prime News.
You deserve to know true and false. Furthermore, you are the most important person, not only to you, but to us.
With the incredible Ridah Kering Chebet for bold, educative information news bulletin.
I research, explore, authenticate, and prepare adequately and sufficiently.
Get the whole story. Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m.
Shinda shopping na Maisha TV worth 100,000 inabamba. Hakikisha tu unaweka kati ya 50 bob hadi 2,000 upate nafasi yako ya kushinda shopping hadi 100,000. Enda M-Pesa, paybill weka 522533, account name 7675890. Kujua shopping free tuna Maisha TV, shopping ya mabazu. At Navaholo Technical and Vocational College, we are the Center of Excellence in Building and Civil Engineering. 2023 intake is ongoing for holders of both KCPE and KCSE certificates for artisan, certificate and diploma courses in building technology, civil engineering, land survey, plumbing, carpentry and joinery, welding and fabrication, water engineering, ICT, resource management, social work, supply chain management, general agriculture, and many more. We are registered by the Ministry of Education as a TVET institution and an examination center for NEC and CASNEB examinations. We boast of coveted learning activities and facilities sitting on a 5.5-acre land purchased by NGCDF Navaholo constituency at par with national standards. Navaholo Technical and Vocational College is located 1 kilometer from Navaholo Division Headquarters near Chebuyusi Secondary School and 400 meters off Kakamega Nambacha Bungoma Road. Since its inception in 2015, our dedicated members of faculty deliver market-driven academic courses in building and civil engineering. We admit all government and private-sponsored students under Kenya Universities and Colleges Placement Service. Welcome to Navaholo Technical and Vocational College. We value quality education and offer superb training to students at affordable school fees. Vulnerable students will get 100% sponsorship, 82% scholarship benefit, and 18% loan from the government. The extremely needy will also acquire 100% sponsorship, 70% scholarship benefit, and 30% scholarship. Loans for the needy and less needy have been doubled, and parents will only pay 7% of total fees. Call us now 0721158997. That is 0721158997. 21589977. Email us at navakholotvc@gmail.com. Intake is now going on with applications from interested and suitable students. Navakholo, a center of excellence.
Welcome back. Glad you're still here. Thank you for choosing to stay here. You're watching Women Talk, where real women engage, and this is definitely Maisha TV. My name is Ridah, Chebet, Kering, and Irene is still in studio. We are talking about teenage girls parenting, and before we went for a short commercial break, Irene was talking about the introduction of sex to your girls. Give them idea of what is happening, what are some of the precautions they can take, and results ya hiyo itakuwa nini. Usimwache tu aende blindly, because we live in an information world, and they will get that information elsewhere, and maybe you will not like the results of the same. Still on teenage girls, or that age between vile umesema 8 to around 20, kwa adolescent stage. Hapo ndio msichana anajigundua maybe hapendi vile anakaa, ana confidence. Rafiki yake ambaye nilikasema maybe appearance yake iko tofauti na yake. How do you instill that self confidence to that girl?
I think one thing we need to tell them is that you are beautiful the way you are. It doesn't matter, and people have those differences. There are others who have that other appearance that you see, and there are others who are having this other appearance that you're having, and all the same, what you need to do is that, you know, everybody is unique in their own setup, you know. So if you see somebody is having something that you don't have, and they are of the same age, it means they are beautiful that way and you're beautiful this other way.
Yes.
So this is to tell them that we should be satisfied with what we have. And I think these are levels now we are starting to teach these girls that, you know, we should not be like looking into the other side and seeing the grass is greener. Yeah, when you move closer, that's when you realize. And I remember when we were growing, we used to be told something like, if you see a beautiful girl, know that our kosi dosari, that's what they used to tell us, you know. That is to make you, you know, just sit back and say, okay, so as I'm thinking they are beautiful the way they are, kuna kitu ambayo si sawa. And then we had this teacher who would tell us, okay, so zingine unaweza fikiria anakaa mrembo hivyo, ukisonga karibu ananuka mbaya. They don't shower, or they, you know, so she used to, you know, put something in us like, be satisfied with what you have. You might be thinking it's not good, but there's somebody whom you think has a good thing, but there is that other thing that they're also missing. So this is what we need to tell our teenage girls, that even as you see somebody is having something that you don't have, you have another thing that kind of, you know, sums it up now to get to that level.
Yeah.
So you might not know about it, but when you'll find out about it, you'll realize, why were you in a hurry? You see. And also, these changes that we have in our bodies, they also vary with our hormones. So these are things they need to learn. I know it's also a time when even at school, maybe they're learning them, but maybe they might not be told in details like you'd want to tell them. Like, yes, as we have hormones, our hormones are also different. There are those ones who, you know, just have them puff up very fast and all that stuff. But still, there are those ones who will take time and then they'll get there. And there are those ones who are having just moderate hormones that will let them just be. So when you get to that level, know that what you need to do is to be sure of yourself that what I have is what is mine. I can't change it. So what I need to do is to use it rightfully and make it beautiful at its level. You see. So once these girls get to realize this, I know sometimes they'll be like, you know, but continue putting this confidence in them, because they'll meet people out there who will be giving them information about how a beautiful girl should be looking like. But once they get it from you, and you know that you've given them that information, however much somebody will tell them, they'll know that my mother told me this. You know, they look at me and they see this is what I have that is better. And this one, even if I look at them, maybe there's something my mother told me, even if this person has, maybe they are missing this. So yeah, maybe she might not talk to them about what you told her, but it builds her inside. So you need to put things in her inside that gives her strength, that lets her know that she is okay with whatever level she's in. I know it's also very challenging, because they'll always be coming back to you with a lot of questions, because there are so many things they are told, there are so many things they learn, and they would want to know. Please have something to tell them that is positive. Because I know, as I did say, you must have information. This is an age where tutajidanganya, lazima ukuwe na information, na lazima ujue ni nini unaweza ambia such a teenage girl. And something else you have to know is that these girls or these children, they really have confidence in their parents. And if you can tell them what they need to hear, hata kama mtu mwingine atamwambia kitu huko nje, atajua mimi mzazi wangu ambaye alinizaa aliniambia hivi. So this is what I have, and this is what I know is good for me. So you can give them examples of people in your family who are also like that, and they are good to go. You see, sometimes we fail, and it's because we don't engage these children. Tuna assume tu anapata information, na imagine pengine anapewa information the wrong one. And as I was saying, tume end up na vitu kama suicide, kwa sababu kuna mtoto huko nje amekazana na yeye kumwambia vitu aoni kwake, na yeye akikuja home hakuna siku umewahi mwambia chochote. So when they look at themselves, they're like, we are really missing out. Na akiona hivi na ule amekazania kumwambia hivi, umejua, na vile tumesema mambo ya emotions, ataenda kuona, okay, so I'm not fit to go, let me just end it here. So we need to be very careful as parents. Wacha tuingize vitu ndani mwao, those things that are right for them. And you've just mentioned it well, that we have to realize that that age is that kind of age where these children are finding out so much, and kuna wakati wanaona kwamba hawafanani na watu wengine, na huwa inawasumbua. So that's why I was also saying, psychologically you have to know these children. Nitakana ujue, ukiona amerudi chini aongei sana, alikuwa naongea, kuna shida. Ukiona alikuwa na aongei sana na ameanza kuongea sana, pia kuna shida. Kwa sababu ujue kuna something that is, so you really have to know how the psychology of these children are. It will help you.
As you've said, we live in a information world at the moment. Technology. Tuko na simu, they have access to maybe mobile phones, iPads, laptops and computers. How should parents handle this? Because at the end of the day, eventually they'll have access to these technology devices. How do you ensure that maybe you limit the access to some places, or access to some informations that might erase what you've taught them?
You know, it's getting even deeper saizi. Kuna hii kitu tunaita CBC. Kuna vitu ambayo they develop some images from, you know, the phone or the laptop or something like that. So it means they have to know how to operate it as early as they are. So I think the best thing to do, as I did say, is please give it to them, but tell them what is the disadvantage and the advantage, and tell them what they need to see and what they need not to see. And if they happen to see such a thing, what they need to do about it, because there are those pop-ups that even come in the phone when you there are those places, that hizo places wanaenda kutoa hizi those developed images ambao wanataka kuprint and all that stuff. Unapata something pops out, what will you do to it? So tell them these things will come and they are there. So what they need to do and know is that it's not their time, and they are not supposed to look at such things. Just click the closing whatever and go to what you wanted to do. It will help you, because even if you concentrate on that thing, after it unapata nini? Wanakulipa. Nobody is paying you to watch such things. So why should you watch it? Kuna kitu umeenda kufanya huko, fanya chenye unataka kufanya, the rest leave it for the time. Kuna wakati utakaa naye utakuwa unaangalia unashangaa, sasa hata inanisaidia na nini? But they are there. You have your own phone. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You see. And you can also cite it out for them that those people who kept on watching such things, they become so addicted and they are so useless. Paka sasa unashangaa imewasaidia na nini? Because there is no payment. Tangu walianza kuwatch hizo vitu, kuna kitu tu imegrow ndani mwao. There is something they have to do desperately. Na wakati mwingine ni kitu ambayo, na tena there is something that is funny about all these things. Unajua nashangaa ati kuna vitu you only want to watch yourself. Mtu akisonga karibu Why? What is important about that thing? So these are things, when you describe to them such things, wakati mwingine it discourages them, na wanaona it has no value. So once you describe such things to them, inawasaidia sana kuona, na kama ni kitu hata inisaidii chochote, hakuna kitu inanipea, let it be. But kama hawajaambiwa, you know what is very funny is that anything that is not good is always very sweet for the eye to look. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio kitu utapata mtoto alichukua simu anatafuta image yenye alitumwa kwenda kuprint, amepata hiyo, ataifollow sasa penye ilitokea. Hata hatafanya chenye, because that is what the mind wants to put in, kwa sababu we know anything evil is always very easy to put in. So what we do is, please, this thing hauwezi kuwazuia, kuna vile wataipata. But also parents, I think it is high time. Na kumbuka hata sisi tukigrow, kuna vitu zingine zilikuanga, unajua tu hiyo kitu ni ya mzazi and nobody should just touch it. Hata ikiwa hapo utamaliza hata wiki ngapi pale, hakuna mtu anajali nayo, ni ya mzazi. Lakini siku hizi sisi tumekuwa kwamba mtoto wako na access kwa kitu, yani anachukua hiyo kitu kama yake na anaitumia tu, na wewe unamwangalia. Hapana, those are things that already give us red lights. Ninajua kwamba it's not good to be so much strict vile tulikuwa tunasema. But inatakikana kuwe na ile respect. Mtoto anajua that thing belongs to my mother. That thing belongs to my dad. That's all about it. Hiyo mambo ya mtoto ako free na kitu ya mzazi wake mpaka unashangaa. Yani hiyo kitu yeye anachukua tu na mzazi pia ataipata, na si kwamba it's an issue. Tunakosa kufundisha watoto their boundaries. Mtoto lazima ajue there are things that are not ours, let it be. Kwa sababu hata kwa hiyo age, kitu ambacho inafanya hata wanapata sana hivi tu ni kwa sababu watu wengine hawajali, na tena watoto wenyewe pia hatujawafundisha boundaries zao. Kwa hivyo akipata any gadget anywhere that can be used, anachukua bila kujua ni ya nani na nitaichukuaje, si yangu. Bora iko hapo, ati nataka kuwatch, tena proudly anakuambia hata hakujui. Yani bora pengine amepata tu simu yako iko juu ya kitu, na pengine umezuba, ameshachukua. No, we should train our children, and these are the boundaries that we are talking about. We should show them which boundaries and how important that is to them, not just now but even in the time to come. Kwa sababu watakuwa ni watu ambao wanafanya kazi mahali, they interact with people, lakini ni mtu careless tu. Akifika mahali anapata mwenzake hata alikuwa anasoma gazeti. Umejua sometimes it's irritating. Ulikuwa unasoma gazeti, pengine umeangalia huku, ukaweka gazeti, unapata mtu amechomoa tu ameenda naye, not even asking. I know mtu atashangaa gazeti, but it really shows how you don't have no boundaries. Please, can you give that person time, amalize, uchukue, ama kama kuna kitu pressing muombe. But unapatanga kuna colleagues mwingine mnafanya nao kazi, akifika amechukua, hata hataki kujua. Maybe there's something you're writing down, you want to ashachukua ameenda naye. Simply because ni vitu yeye akujua, aliona kama ni gazeti, kama gazeti. So these things start as early as today. So these things we have them, but we should show our children the boundaries that we have, the disadvantages, advantages. Why is it important to look at such things now? Why is it not important? Itakusaidia na nini? Badala yake italeta addictions in you that will not help you. And even in future inaweza kusumbua hata your marriage. Because you are used to these things so much that you'd better watch them than have a family. So unless we address it today, unless we talk to our children today and tell them such things and give them examples. I think the best way sometimes is to give examples and stories and experiences. If you have something that you can share with them, you can share with them. They can live with it, na itakuwa ni kitu ambayo itawasaidia.
Yes, as much as we are talking about mzazi kuhakikisha that they talk to their teenage girls or teenagers, let me just use teenagers in general. In most cases we find that hawa watoto hii ndio ni level ambayo hawataki hata kuongea na mzazi. They are so conservative. Wanataka vitu zao zibaki na wao. Hataki any communication, as in anataka tu vitu yake pekee. How do you
break that?
Break that and so that they communicate. Hata akiwa na shida, she can approach you, ask you a question, ama have a discussion with you.
It's not very easy, and maybe somebody like me, it has been not very easy. I'm a little bit strict. But that's why we are two parents most of the time. If God has blessed you to be having the both of you, it's very important, and you should use that. Because most of the time when I feel like mimi nitajaribu kuingilia katika kulazimisha I usually tell their father to just go in, because as I was saying, I know that the dads are always good with the girls, the dad and the girls. So it's easier for their dad to approach them in such occasions where they don't want to talk. Their dad knows how to get to them, because wataanza ni kama story tu, alafu wafike penye walitakana kufika. Hapo ndio pengine mimi nitaingilia wakishafika hapo, because hii nyingine pengine imenikasirisha kiasi kwamba sitaki kuanza kuongea na mtu. But you know, now the dad will know how to tone it down, na aende nao mpaka afike penye alitaka kufika. So that's an advantage. But if you happen to be alone, and maybe you are somebody like me who is too tough on them, what you need to do is to maybe have a relative or somebody who is a family friend who can be coming in to just, you know, have a general talk with them and take them to those levels until they get to that point where they can share. And this should be somebody you trust, somebody you know. Because the reason why I'm putting that note there is I've come across families who trusted other people with their girls just to maybe come in and try to do this, and they ended up spoiling the whole thing. And that's why I'm telling you, even me, when their dad has to come through, I also have to be close by, so that there is somewhere where now I'll jump in. I have to be around. So it's not left for that person to do it alone. You have to be around, so that when it reaches that level where you know you can now come in, and the, you know, the environment has been created where now the communication is moving back and forth, it's easier for you. So I'm putting that under note, because I know there are people we can assume we trust them and give them all the full information about these girls, because as I said, when we're starting, girls are very delicate. So unless it's somebody you know very well, you know, and don't be far away when such a thing is happening. Please be close, because you'll help. You need to be there also, because these children pia, usiwe mtu wa kufikiria tu ati kama unaweza wawachia mtu mwingine nawe watajua shida iko wapi. Kwa sababu vile nilisema, the psychology is very important. When they realize kwamba wewe uwezi wa handle, lazima uite somebody else, watakucheza. So what you need to do is to try to show them that as much as I've not done this, maybe in the beginning, I'm part of it, so that we can move together. You see what I'm saying? So I know it is a time when they really try to reserve themselves. But if you are somebody who is outgoing, najua kuna wazazi, najua kuna wamama ambao wako na uwezo wa kuwa, you know, they have that, they're kind of light and soft for the children, and they know how to, you can start with them pole pole tu. Unawacha siku ile ako high kiasi, unaweza ongea na yeye pole pole tu mpaka umlete kwa the thing ambayo mnataka kuongelea. Na umuongeleshe vizuri, and it should not be once. It's something that we keep on doing. So for the girls, they are learning, and they get to that point where hawataki hata mtu, they don't want to talk to anybody, but I think there are 1, 2, 3 people ambao they can talk to, they can open up to, and they are also, there is a way you can handle them. Kuna vile unaweza wapeleka pole pole hadi wafikishe mahali penye pengine hawakutaka kuongea, lakini wataongea. Maybe is a teacher, pengine kuna madam teacher ambaye wameingiana vizuri. I don't know about today, but when we were growing up, we saw this a lot. Kulikuwa na walimu ambao walikuwa wanaingia sana kuona kwamba anaweza kusaidia watoto, haswa wasichana. We used to be called aside, only the girls, and the teachers would really talk to you. I know siku hizi maisha imetupeleka mahali ambapo masomo imekuwa so tight, walimu hawana time, they only have time for education and all these things. Sasa hizi vitu zingine inakuwa ni ngumu. But if we can have such people also, even in schools, I know we have counselors, people who are given that mandate to be talking to these girls, especially if it is a girls' school. But what I'm saying is, please don't trust these people and leave them with the girls. Sometimes you might not know. Be around. Make sure you also hear what they are being told.
Yes. As we close up this discussion, what is the best, in case these girls have gone astray, the best punishment that a parent can instill to them?
Sometimes, for me, the best punishment is, especially if it is these normal things, is I let them experience it. Kama anacheza unamwacha mpaka aguze, aone ni moto.
So, to experience the best teacher.
I think I told you this story about that second girl of mine has been naughty from the beginning, and akiwa mdogo alikuwa nasumbua sana. When stima imeenda na mko na candle na mkawasha, she would try to every time. Nilimwacha tu. Kaenda kashika. Na unajua hiyo kitu inakoga na hiyo the wax. Imemelt. Ilishika na jaribu kutoa imekata. Mpaka leo vile ni mkubwa. Akiona mshumaa anakaa tu kando. Because there is something she learned. So sometimes the best punishment is to let these people washike kwa mkono. Najua kwamba hiyo when it comes to things like early pregnancies and all this stuff is not a good thing to do. Yeah, but kuna vitu zingine unaweza kufanya wakapata hata aibu saa zingine mpaka hiyo ikabaki kuwa landmark. Akajua kumbe this is not what is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Unaona? But all the same, punishment is punishment. You can look for a way. Kuna watoto wako vile nilisema, unawajua watoto vile wana grow. Yeah. Unajua vitu ambavyo hao watoto wako pengine wanaogopa sana kufanyika kwa maisha yao. You can expose them to such so that wajue si rahisi.
Yeah.
Unajua? Unajua kuna watoto wengine pengine wanakaa wajuaji sana. Pengine unampatia fare, unamwambia aenda Nairobi kwa your aunt and mwambie nimesema kitu fulani, just send them apotee. Mpaka kuja ajue kumbe hakuna kitu mimi naweza. I'm nothing. You know, you're trying to just expose them but in a way of punishing them. Ili kwamba wajue kwamba sisi ni bure, we need people to help us here.
Yeah.
Hatujafika bado. Unajua, so such experiences huwa inawarudisha chini. Ninajua kwamba mtu anashangaa sema ataolewa. Yes, anaweza olewa. So wewe unajua ni nini unaweza fanyia mtoto wako? Kweli huwa anaiogopa na akifanywa kitu kama hiyo ama wewe ina demoralize. Expose to kitu kama hiyo.
Yes.
Utapata akitoka hapo kuna lesson amelani. Unaona? Yeah. So there are things we can do because we know how we raised our children. Kuna certain leader alikuwa ananiambia mtoto wake apendi kukaa mahali pamoja. So unamfungia tu kwa bedroom yake. Akae huko kuanzia asubuhi mpaka hataki kufanya kazi. Lock her in that bedroom. Yenye hakuna kitu, pengine ina kiti tu. Akitoka kwa kiti alale kwa floor. Hakuna kiti kwa hiyo room. Hataki. Na akisikia hiyo siku nyingine she'll be doing what she needs to do. Unajua. So you know how you've raised your children, you know what they fear so much. Expose them to that and hiyo itawarudisha mahali and they'll know hii si mchezo. You see. Yeah. So there are different things that you can do to your children. I remember like us when we were growing up, our grandma would be like, wakati mwingine umejua nakasirika mpaka ukuli. The whole week hautakula hapo na sikupata umekula mahali. Do you know how that feels? Umechoka ukienda shule. Mtu akutana na wewe anafikiria umefast like the whole week. Sasa wenzako saa zingine wanakuibia kitu kidogo na umejua itoshi. So such things ilikuwa inafanya ukitaka kufanya the same mistake unaangalia unasema nani sitaki kukanja. Let me just go ahead. You see. So kuna vitu unajua watoto wako vile ulikuwa na raise, there are things you can do to them and unajua kwamba huwa inawaleta mahali penye wanaona yenyewe I need somebody. You know, I need to be guided. Nisiende tu peke yangu. Lazima mtu anisaidie kufanya kitu. Or letting them go to school saa zingine bila pesa. Hiyo pocket money. Najua na kama unajua ni mtoto si mwizi. Lakini kama ni mtoto mwizi ujue hivi karibuni wewe ndio utaface the consequences. Because najua shule pia nao iko na njia siku hizi ya kupunish both the child and the parent. Maana sasa zile mtoto wako ameiba, wewe ndio unaitwa shule. Alafu kisha ile punishment utapata huko. So sometimes the teacher assume also that why did you not give this child maybe pocket money. Lakini pengine wewe kama mzazi kuna vile unajaribu kumdiscipline.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to do that strictly if you know your child is not ule mtoto anaweza akona ile courage ya kuiba hata ya mwenzake. Sababu at the end of the day it will still roll back to you. Kwa hivyo ukijua ni mtoto ako discipline si rahisi aguze kitu ya mtu mpeleke huko bila ama mpatie fare nusu. Akifika mahali anashuka na mwambie utabeba hiyo box ama whatever you have kwa kichwa uende shuleni.
Jua learn lesson the hard way.
Yeah. So there are so many things you can do to these children because you know them. Ndio nilikuwa nasema psychology yao lazima upate vizuri.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, asante sana Irene. It was a very good discussion and a very educative one.
Sure.
I hope that our viewer has gotten something out of it. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for keeping it here since the start of this program. You are watching Women Talk. Remember, this is where real women engage. My name is Ridah, Kering, Chebet, and as usual, I'm not alone. I'm with Irene Mumbo Bushebi, counselor, a mother, wife, and she is a pastor as well. Thank you for being with us. But we've come to the end of today's program. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.